How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss.
All the Whos down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not.
It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight.
But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
He stood with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming.
For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, noise, noise.
All the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast. And they'd feast, feast, feast.
They'd stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing, sing, sing.
Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must find some way to stop Christmas. But how?
Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat.
All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked round, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found.
So he called his dog Max, and he took a long thread, and he hung a horn around his head.
Then he bundled some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max.
The Grinch said, "Get up!" And the sleigh started down to the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town.
Then he came to the first little house on the square.
This is stop number 1,
the old Grinchy Claus hissed. And he climbed onto the roof, empty bags in his fist.
He slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch.
There all the Who's stockings hung in a row.
These stockings, he grinned, are the first ones to go.
He slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant. He went round the room and he took every present.
He slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast.
Then the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove.
He turned around quick, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2.
She stared up at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?"
Oh, why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it back there, then I'll bring it back here.
When Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up.
He rode 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet. He rode up to the tip-top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Whos, he said, grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming.
They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. All the Whos down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo.
And that's a sound I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear.
And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow.
But this sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry, and it was merry, very.
The Grinch stared down at Whoville. He popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise.
Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all.
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or the other, it came just the same.
He stood with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow. He stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so?
Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed back with his load through the bright morning light.
He brought back the food and the beast for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.